Hey, it's Erica. I just wanted to let you know that you can now listen to Global News What Happened To ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime.
I'm Dawna Friesen, and this is the Global National Podcast for Tuesday, April 29th. Dissecting the election results, we look at how the Liberals won a fourth consecutive term and will form another minority government. What Mark Carney is promising to those who did not vote Liberal.
I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home.
The Conservatives celebrate winning more seats than they have in a long time.
It will be an honor to continue to fight for you.
But leader Pierre Poilievre acknowledges he did not deliver the change he promised and lost his own riding, which means he doesn't have a seat in the House of Commons, even though his party is the official opposition. And what about the NDP? It lost official party status, its leader is stepping down, but it is likely going to end up holding the balance of power once again in a Liberal minority government. And Albertans feeling shut out again.
I'm disappointed. I thought the Conservatives were going to win.
What that province's premier is challenging Mark Carney to do.
Global National with Dawna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Canadian voters have returned the Liberals to power for a fourth consecutive time after an extraordinary election campaign and a big turnaround in Liberal fortunes.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney.
Prime Minister Mark Carney, who had never been elected until now, went straight to work. His office says Carney spoke with President Trump today, who congratulated him. In his victory speech early this morning, Carney acknowledged the millions of Canadians who did not vote for him.
Let's put an end to the division and anger of the past. We are all Canadian, and my government will work for and with everyone.
There are still some tight races where winners have not been declared, but at this point, the Liberals have 169 seats, the Conservatives 144, the Bloc Québécois 22, the NDP 7, and the Greens 1. That puts the Liberals 3 seats shy of a majority government. The Conservative Party did win more seats than it has in years, but not enough to form a government. And in a big blow, leader Pierre Poilievre lost his own Ottawa area riding to a Liberal newcomer. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was also defeated and says he is stepping down, though it could be the NDP again who keep the Liberal minority in power.
Obviously, I'm disappointed that we could not win more seats, but I'm not disappointed in our movement. I'm hopeful for our party.
We have full coverage of the election results, beginning with Mackenzie Gray and the Liberal comeback.
A 2 a.m. dance party capping off an improbable rise to power. Rookie politician Mark Carney and his staff rocking out to one of the Prime Minister's favorite bands, Down with Webster. After leading the Liberal Party back from a 20-point deficit to the Conservatives in January to form the next government.
I have a question. Who's ready? Who's ready?
The Liberals picking up 15 seats and winning the popular vote for the first time since 2015. A cause for celebration, but there was also disappointment, with multiple Liberal campaign staff believing Mark Carney's message around Donald Trump would lead to a majority.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
Lines like that were a staple of Carney's stump speech.
There was a partnership.
But he gave a softer tone in an interview with the BBC.
We'll have a partnership on our terms. There's a win-win possibility there, but on our terms, not on their terms.
Negotiations over that partnership, which the Prime Minister has labelled as a new economic and security agreement, will start quickly, with Carney and Trump agreeing to meet in person soon, after speaking Tuesday on the phone for the second time. But passing any potential agreement through a minority parliament could be more challenging, needing either the support of the NDP or the Bloc, who are already listing demands.
There's no future for oil and gas, at least in Quebec and probably everywhere, and this has to be said and protected. I have a brand new weapon to do that.
Carney also had phone calls with Yves-François Blanchet, Dawna, as well as French President Emmanuel Macron and Governor General Mary Simon, who he's likely to meet with soon to form a new cabinet.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa, thank you. Well, the Liberals and Conservatives each received more than 40% of the popular vote, but Pierre Poilievre acknowledged in his concession speech that he failed to deliver the change he promised, and he lost his own seat. Taria Isri looks at what that means for the Conservative leader and his party.
Not one, but two defeats for Pierre Poilievre, though he's adamant he's staying on as Conservative leader.
It will be an honor to continue to fight for you and to be a champion of your cause as we go forward.
The Conservative leader came on stage before it was clear he had lost his longtime Ottawa seat.
I just don't know what to say. I'm just so happy.
Well, I appreciate you.
We look forward to seeing your work.
This is the political rookie who beat Poilievre in Carleton. Bruce Fanjoy, a first-time Liberal candidate defeating the 7-time MP.
I knew that someone had to stand up to Pierre, and I couldn't find anyone else, so I did it myself.
Poilievre campaigned on a platform to trim the public service in a riding filled with bureaucrats. In Carleton, the news of Fanjoy's win is the talk of the town.
He's just an altogether good human. He's been very active in our community, and he did this for all the right reasons.
But Poilievre's supporters see things differently.
We lost an MP and leader of the opposition that was well-rooted in the community. He was not an elite, if you will.
Parliamentary rules state that the leader of the opposition must hold a seat in the House of Commons.
We have to learn the lessons of tonight so that we can have an even better result the next time the Canadians decide the future for the country.
Some high-profile Conservatives are standing by Poilievre. Former Tory leader Andrew Scheer posted on social media his continued leadership will ensure we finish the job next time. Former interim leader Rona Ambrose agrees and hailed his breakthroughs.
So make no mistake, this is definitely a setback, but I don't think it's something that is going to torpedo his leadership.
For Poilievre to return to the House of Commons, the Conservatives could ask an MP to step aside, triggering a by-election. But Mark Carney would ultimately decide when that vote takes place, which could be up to 8 months down the road. Dawna?
All right, Taria Isri, thank you. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who is a progressive Conservative and who recently won a majority in that province, is being accused by some in the Conservative movement of undermining the federal Conservative campaign and its leader. Today, he congratulated Prime Minister Carney and talked about the need for unity.
At the end of the day, the people have spoken. I always say the people are never wrong when it comes to elections. And now we have to get back down to work and start moving forward and get big national infrastructure projects done.
Our chief political correspondent, David Aiken, is back in front of his touchscreen to explain how the Liberals got their minority government. David.
Well, Dawna, the story of the NDP collapse is really one of the stories of the night. They only got 6% of the popular vote, and think about this, they got 18% of the popular vote 4 years ago, so 1/3 has dropped. And not all of it benefited the Liberals. In fact, here's a riding right, I want to take you this, to Windsor West, where the New Democrat, Brian Massey, had been there since 2002. He lost last night, finished third, but his vote looks like it went to the Conservatives. Perhaps that because Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives were targeting the private sector unionized vote. Now, the NDP will still hold the balance of power in this minority parliament, which is kind of unique given that they only had 6% of the vote, but the power will still be wielded by the Liberals. Why? Fortress Vancouver, Fortress Montreal, and Fortress GTA. That's what's up here. But that fortress took some nicks. This is 2025. This is 2021. You can see a lot more red up here, over here in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. 2025, Conservatives making gains in York Region and in Halton, but not enough gains. That's why the Conservatives failed to become the government. They didn't do enough to chip away at Fortress Toronto. So that's Fortress Toronto. Let's go check out Fortress Montreal, Quebec. There we go. And Montreal. This is Montreal right now. A lot of red. This is Montreal 4 years ago. Not as much red. More Bloc Québécois blue. The Liberals doing a great job winning some bloc seats. They had a very good night in Quebec, and that's also one of the reasons that they are forming the government. And finally, we finish on British Columbia and the Vancouver area. This is lots of Liberal red in the GVRD, and this is 2021. New Democrats, these seats would all go to the Liberals, and here's 2025. You can see the strength of the Liberals in here. I want to finish on South Surrey White Rock, because Ernie Clausen is the first Liberal to win White Rock since 1949. Dawna.
David Aiken, thanks. Elections Canada says more than 68% of Canadians voted in this election. That is the highest voter turnout in over 30 years. Our Ottawa Bureau Chief Mercedes Stevenson is looking into how those votes were split and what we can read into that. Mercedes.
Dawna, one of the biggest stories of this election is how deep divisions in Canada drove voters into a two-party race between the Conservatives and the Liberals. There were some divisions that we've seen before historically. For example, the differences between rural and urban areas, or between Alberta with deep Western alienation and the rest of Canada. But one of the biggest divides in this election was generational, and it turned political wisdom on its head. Young people, who are traditionally more left-leaning, voted for Pierre Poilievre, frustrated by the cost of living and feeling unheard, while lots of boomers and older Canadians who would historically have swung more conservative instead voted Liberal, worried about the effect of Donald Trump on markets and Canada's sovereignty. This age fault line is one of the most important political stories of our time. There is another clear message, though, that we need to highlight. Canadians aren't happy with how politicians are doing business. They refuse to have the election turned into a single ballot issue, even though both major parties tried to do that. The roller coaster of results shows that Canadians are thinking about both what's happening in the White House as well as owning their own house. Voters handed the Liberals a fourth mandate, but not with a resounding endorsement. The Conservatives increased their support, but Canadians weren't ready to elect them despite serious Liberal missteps. Canadians are looking for serious solutions to important issues, not partisan sniping in games or empty promises. Now it's up to political leaders to implement that. Dawna?
Okay, Mercedes Stevenson, thank you. Well, except for one Liberal win, Saskatchewan went Tory blue, and today Saskatchewan's Premier extended an olive branch to Prime Minister Carney and invited him to visit the province.
So I would say that this is an opportunity for each and all of us to hit the reset button, if you will, on the federal government's relationship with the province and the people of Saskatchewan. And I hope that this offer is taken.
Alberta's Conservative Premier is challenging Prime Minister Carney to immediately reset Alberta's relationship with Ottawa, too, accusing the Liberals of undermining Alberta's resource-based economy for a decade. Heather Urix-West reports.
I'm disappointed. I thought the Conservatives were going to win.
It's not the result many in this province were hoping for. Despite a near Conservative sweep in all but 3 Alberta ridings, the Liberals under Mark Carney are in power once again.
We had a cabinet that he went into the election with that was exactly the same as the cabinet that subjected Alberta to 10 years of economic devastation. So whether or not he, as a leader, is going to be able to change course remains to be seen.
Reiterating a list of 9 demands for the Prime Minister related to federal energy policy, Smith says her caucus will meet this Friday to talk about its next steps. Adding, in the weeks ahead, Albertans will have a chance to discuss the province's future. A subtle nod, perhaps, to a small but vocal group within the province calling for separation from Canada.
We've got about the same percentage of Albertans who voted Liberal in this election as are polling for independence or separation.
While it's clear there will be no honeymoon period between Mark Carney and Alberta's Premier, there is some hope from within the industry that this new Liberal government will change its stance on some of the more divisive energy policies of the Trudeau era, with the emissions cap topping the list.
I'm expecting that the Prime Minister, I think, is going to signal very clearly the importance of the sector, expanding the sector and working with provinces collaboratively to get additional markets for our product.
With that, Calgary's new and lone Liberal MP believes he can help.
I understand this. There's not a major pipeline project in the last 15 years I wasn't involved in.
Seeds of optimism that a fraught relationship can be reset as the country enters a new but familiar era. Heather Urix-West, Global News, Calgary.
In Vancouver, police say they've finished their work at the crime scene where 11 people were killed when an SUV drove straight into the crowd at a Filipino festival. BC's Ministry of Health now says the suspect was being supervised under the Mental Health Act at the time, but claims there were no indications of violent behavior. Neetu Garcha is following developments tonight.
As people place flowers at this memorial, the pain is clear.
It's just hard. It's too close to home.
After a black SUV plowed through the crowd at the Lapu-Lapu Filipino Festival in Vancouver, leaving dozens injured. Some are still in hospital, and we're learning more about those who didn't survive. Jennifer Darbelay was one of those killed. She leaves behind 2 sons, according to an online fundraiser describing her as a loving mother and a great friend who worked tirelessly to support her children. Also among those killed, Maria Victoria Jarnison. She was visiting Vancouver from the Philippines and had just celebrated her son's birthday the night before. Jandel May Seco, described online as a kind-hearted person who lived her life to the fullest. And 3 members of the Samper family, daughter Glitza Daniela, her mother Glitza Maria, and father Daniel. 16-year-old Andy Lay didn't attend the festival, but his sister, father, and stepmother all did and were killed. Andy's uncle, Tone Lee, told Global News he's thankful for the community support and donations, which they'll be using to pay for Andy's education and donating to other victims.
We just told him that we are always going to be there for him.
BC Premier David Eby says the province will hold a public inquiry into Saturday's incident here if the criminal trial fails to answer questions.
We'd call one right now, but for the fact that it could interfere with the criminal investigation and criminal trial.
As victims' families struggle to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, there continues to be an outpouring of support from the community near and far. Neetu Garcha, Global News, Vancouver.
In Quebec, the man who crashed a bus into a Montreal area daycare in 2023 has been found not criminally responsible for killing 2 children and injuring 6 others. A judge accepted a joint recommendation from the Crown and Defence, which said the 53-year-old driver was unable to tell right from wrong at the time of the crash. 2 psychiatrists independently determined he was likely experiencing psychosis. As Canadians voted, those who live in the United States were watching the results closely, too. Jeff Semple has reaction from Washington and whether the newly elected Prime Minister can hold his own in the Oval Office.
At this bar in Washington Monday night, all eyes were on Canada. A Canadian election watch party attended by expats who now share a zip code with the president and who've had a front row seat to his dismantling of U.S.-Canada relations.
It's a moment of crisis for the relationship. It's also a really great opportunity to educate Americans about why Canada-U.S. relations are important.
This Vancouverite lives in Washington and worked for the Wilson Center's Canada Institute. That is, until Trump cut its funding last month and Xavier Delgado lost his job.
There isn't enough focus on Canada down here, and I'd say the U.S. at large, but really here in Washington. So it filled a really important role in the time that it was around.
The PMO says Trump congratulated Carney by phone, and the two agreed on the importance of working together as sovereign nations. But in an interview before the vote, Trump bragged about controlling the world, including Canada. Until I came along, remember that the Conservative was leading by 25 points, Trump said regarding Pierre Poilievre. Then I was disliked by enough of the Canadians that I've thrown the election into a close call.
Canadians are our friends.
The Democrats responding to Carney's victory speech and his pledge to forge new relationships outside of the U.S.
Describing this situation as a tragedy is accurate.
Back at the bar, this American expert on Canada-U.S. relations believes Carney's style is well suited to Trump.
He's not hogging the limelight. He's just getting the job done, being honest, being polite, and delivering. And I think that Trump likes that. Everything doesn't have to be an ego contest.
While Carney marks day one, Trump is preparing to celebrate 100 days in office, attending a campaign-style rally in Michigan tonight and announcing tariff rebates for American automakers who finish their cars in the U.S. Dawna?
All right, Jeff Semple in Washington, thank you. The White House has publicly criticized Amazon after reports the e-commerce site would begin showing customers how much the tariffs have increased prices of individual products. The White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, accused Amazon of committing a hostile and political act. Amazon later denied the report. After a phone call with Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, President Trump called him a good guy and said he solved a problem very quickly. Prime Minister Mark Carney said in his victory speech that he intends to listen to all Canadians, even though millions did not vote for him, and that humility will be a cornerstone of his leadership. Those who lost the race were gracious in defeat, including the Conservative Leader Pierre Poilievre, and no one is questioning the results. That, as Eric Sorensen explains, is a victory for the whole country.
It's been a breathtaking political blitz, election milestones almost too many to count, the most stunning comeback by a governing party ever, the most seats won by the official opposition ever, the lowest support for the NDP, the most close finishes, the most surprising upset.
Elections are disruptive and emotional, and we just held 343 of them in every corner of the country. In a world where authoritarianism is rising, Canada, without violence, without extremism, with its very sovereignty threatened, calmly demonstrated how a successful democracy functions.
And the pivotal political act came not from who won, but who lost.
So I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Carney.
Pierre Poilievre is combative and partisan, and some of his many supporters are angry in ways that he fostered. But at the most delicate moment for a democracy, the results just in, Poilievre put Canada first.
We'll have plenty of opportunity to debate and disagree, but tonight we come together as Canadians.
Untrained as a politician, the still new Prime Minister celebrated, but his message was uncommonly sober for an election winner. The U.S. President has transformed our partner and friend, America, into an adversary.
Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. These are tragedies, but it's also our new reality.
Now the hard work begins. Our economy will need to be reimagined. From his resume, Mark Carney seems like an economic virtuoso. Some voters were looking for just that. Others wanted a change in leadership. For many Canadians, Carney represents both. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
That is Global National for this Tuesday. We'll have a new episode every day at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and wherever you find your favorite podcasts. I'm Dawna Friesen. For all of us at Global National, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.